That was the weirdest thing. Jesus. Let's see what she. Hey, what's up? Good morning. The chat did not load, and so I'm seeing all of it. Nothing was loading. Can you hear me? Anyone watching? We're gonna persevere through this. We're gonna get through this. I'm just gonna take some time to make sure folks can see me. Good morning as you trickle back in. Thank you, CT, because I could not see. I okay. I could not I couldn't see the chat on Twitch. It would not load anything. So something was off on Twitch. Something was off on Twitch. So I couldn't see the chat. Thank y'all. Y'all were telling me, but it wouldn't load. Okay. We're good. We're good. This has happened too much. All right, so welcome back. Oh, I feel bad. People really tuned in. Welcome back. Let's start over. Because I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna see if I'm gonna cut this up. Hold up.
It is indeed a pleasure to have this privilege to play here for you. We intend to give you a very fine program, so just settle back, relax, and enjoy the moment.
Well, hello there. Nothing happened. Nothing went wrong. It's just a Friday morning. Don't know why that happens from time to time, but I'm here. Happens too often for me to be embarrassed. Good morning. Shout out to my ride or dies. I wish I was like a hip hop DJ, because I'd be like, shout out to my ride or die followers who come right back, who understand glitches, who don't let that deter them. I could not see the chat, y'all. Family on Twitch, y'all were yelling and screaming. It just popped up just now. I'm like, oh, you don't have no sound. And I was wondering why, like, people were, I kept seeing numbers of people come in and leave. So on Facebook, if you can hear me, let me know. Y'all my engineers, y'all my executive producers, y'all gotta help me. Thank you, CT, watching on Facebook. If you didn't drop it in the chat, I wouldn't have seen it. So thank you. Thank you. Good morning, Justin. Good morning, Whiskey Neat. Good morning. Is it who's LWB? What's your first name? LWB0813 on Twitch. Good morning, Nicole. Good morning, D. Bartlett. Okay, my mic sounds nice. Salt and pepper. All right, we're going to talk about Black Olympians from Charleston, Black Olympians from South Carolina. We're also going to talk about racial animus and how that plays a part and why folks think that athletes don't deserve pay. We're going to talk about the repercussions of the latest legislation, the latest move from the Supreme Court that has now enabled college athletes who are not amateurs, like how those recent decisions are going to impact us here in the South, and especially in a state like South Carolina, which has competitive athletic programs, baseball, Clemson's football, Gamecock women's basketball, and a whole host of other sports where South Carolina, is very powerful. Division I schools who command a lot of attention. This recent news around athletes being empowered to earn to make money off of their likeness is huge. And I don't know why. Good morning. I understand. You saw my soup coolers moving. My soup coolers were just like boop, 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 boop. Hey, Jonic. Hey, Charlie the Brit. Good morning. But yeah, you can hear now though, right? You can hear me. All right, I'm back. Okay. Yeah. We're working on it. So just so y'all know, behind the scenes, because we're gonna raise money. My computer is fine. It's just I'm gonna explain to y'all. You know what? Let me see if I can find it on Instagram. Explain to y'all how difficult it is how difficult it is to stream. Like live streaming is not a. I'm trying to get it focused. Y'all see my broken nails. Live streaming is not easy. Lord, shout out to my DJ. Hold on one second. Let me switch up because I'm tired of looking blurry in y'all's face. Yeah, live streaming is not easy. It takes a lot. Shout out to my DJ right here, DJ Multibrain, Jared. Make sure y'all support Jared. I'm going to go to an actual video that Jared shared with me that will kind of help you understand how hard it is to stream. Like my computer is fine. I just need a dedicated computer, dedicated PC for streaming. Let's see if I can find it. Let me see. Yeah, right here. I hope I can play the sound. Sometimes when I try to play things like this, they don't let me play the sound for some reason. Here we go.
Hey, Mac, what's going on? Nothing much. Honestly, really just waiting on you. Got some snacks, but what are we gonna do today? Make some beats, graphic design, new video? Well, I was actually thinking about starting a Twitch stream. Did you say you wanted to start streaming? Yeah.
It's real,
why
y'all.
not? It looks really fun. Okay, that's great, but the thing is, I'm not built for that. Can't we just airdrop something? Yeah, let's do that. Dude, we have to get on Twitch. Everybody is on Twitch. Would you stop saying that? They'll hear you. Hey, did somebody say Twitch? See? Yes, that was me. I want to start a Twitch channel. Oh, right on. Welcome. Thank you. See? He's super nice. It's not him. It's his friends. Please, don't do this. I'm begging you. Stop being a crybaby. It's nothing we can't handle. How do we get started? Well, you start with them. What up, bitch? Oh.
OBS.
Look at this, normie. So you want to be a streamer? Yes. Where's your PC? Well, he was gonna use me. Man, fuck you. Fuck me? Fuck you. What are you gonna do, you thin piece of shit? Hey, stop it. Just tell us what we need to do. If you want to start a stream with this guy, you're gonna need an Elgato Game Capture HD60S Plus with Game Chat Link, 4 HDMI cords, an XLR mic, webcam, and an interface. Did you say a DS Plus? Where's your router? Downstairs, but the Wi-Fi's really good. Wi-Fi, that's cute. Yeah, no, you need a 100-foot Ethernet cable. Run that through the attic, into your bedroom,
accuracy.
outside, downstairs, back in the house, and into the router. Then you're gonna run a speed test. Why? Do you want your stream to look like a tuna fish sandwich? No. Then find the bitrate. Okay, how do I find the bitrate? The fuck I look like, Google? Okay, can we just take a break? A break? There are no breaks in streaming. Come on, of course there's breaks in streaming. When you're not streaming, you're cutting clips and doing promo. Even this right now, it's promo. Tell them your channel. This is promo? Yes, it's on the For You page. Tell them your channel. Hurry up. Okay, all right. Twitch.tv/Keats did it. Good? Tell them to follow you. Please follow me. Oh, tell them that cool animations and shit come up when they follow. Oh, really? That's already set up? Oh, yeah, I gotta call Stream Elements. Hold on. You mean there's more of you?
Literally, y'all. Literally. I don't have a Mac. And that was the good thing. That was just a serendipitous decision. I have a PC. I bought a gaming PC when I moved down here. This thing is robust. This thing is powerful because I wanted something that I could edit on and have like just really tuna fish sandwich, right? This thing is this is a dope PC. It's older. It's like it's a few years old, but it still holds up. Good morning, Ray John on Facebook. When I tell y'all streaming is not just it's not Facebook Live. It's not IG Live. It is intense. Ethernet cord. Jared and I, hours doing Zoom share screen. Do this, change that, take this off, change this setting. It is intense. And so when I go through the technical difficulties, I really appreciate it because y'all do know. I know y'all can imagine. It's just not like flipping on the screen and just start talking. It's so much more involved, and everything that I've incorporated in like how this even looks. And I'm not even as aggressive as I need to be in terms of tightening up the appearance, or doing the clips and whatnot. It's not Rajon, it's not a game. StreamYard is even like, StreamYard and other types of like software. It's not like you get all kinds of technical difficulties, and when you're trying to talk to somebody else, you got to figure out what looks best. It's just not a game. And so thank y'all for indulging me. I wanted to share that video because when Jared shared it with me the other day, I'm like, the accuracy. because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna start a Twitch channel. Oh, okay. What do you know about OBS? What? Oh, what do you know about Stream Elements? Okay, I don't know anything. Okay, well, what's this? What's that? Your internet speed. Then we had the internet situation in the building, right? It's crazy. Yeah, you're not doing this on a Wi-Fi. It's real. That's why, like, when I hit the road, it's really hard for me to think, like, how do I do this on the road? It's really difficult. Especially if you don't have like an internet connection that's really like trustworthy or what have you. So it's really tough. But let's go back to what we're going to talk about today, which is when I was moving my lips and nobody could hear me. Hey, let me see what Ray John said on Facebook. He says, I always tell people that, right? It's much more than people realize. I hated OBS too. If I didn't have, Ray John, if I didn't have people like Jared help me out with this, and I'm pretty tech savvy. I'm the girl, I'm the kind of girl that, like, I'll buy a whatever gadget and not read instructions, just try to figure it out. I'm not intimidated by technology at all. Like, even when I bought this PC, I knew what I wanted. But the OBS is a whole nother level, and it's just y'all. All right, let's get to it. So we're gonna lift up the athletes from the area. We're gonna celebrate the black athletes. I got some videos queued up. So the black athletes that I'm talking about from Charleston, we got Raven Saunders, and we shout out Burke High School, and we've got Chris Middleton. I'm hopefully I won't get popped too much on YouTube. But let's play this clip. Shout out to the Bucks last night who won. Chris Middleton, we know, went to Porter Gaud. Let's play a little bit, a tiny bit.
48 points. Middleton for three, yes.
Yeah, he exploded last night for 26 points, 13 rebounds, and 8 assists. Almost had a triple-double. Almost messed around and got a triple-double, right? So shout out to Chris Middleton. There's this little clip from a couple years ago from the Players Tribune to give you a little insight about Chris. I hate that wall, y'all. Y'all know I hate that wall, but we get it. We get it. Producers trying to get something cinematic.
I'm not in Milwaukee, I'm here. This is my getaway, my hideout. All my teammates know that this is a spot.
And if I didn't say it, which I didn't, Chris Middleton has made it to the men's basketball Olympic team. So he's an Olympian. That's why I'm showing this, not just because he's a Charleston native. But we're going to get to Raven too, but Chris Middleton I haven't spoken about. Now I have a reason to, because they're in the Eastern Conference Finals, and yeah.
I'm at all summer long unless I have to go somewhere else. I'm a home guy.
Oh boy.
You guys doing okay today?
Yeah, how are you?
Hi.
Can I get the All-Star special?
Grits, hash browns, sliced tomatoes.
Grits.
Grits.
If you want to be an All-Star, you got to eat the All-Star special.
We start noticing some special things around his age of 12, 13. Yeah, there were some things he was doing on the court that you didn't teach. They were just innate. And so that's when we started, as a family, we started saying, hey, this guy, there's something here. There's something a little special.
Shout out Porter Gaud. Only because it's local.
I throw an annual basketball camp every summer.
Yeah, y'all know about the annual basketball camp, right? Because I always see it. If you're around Charleston, you'll see it like on the Parks and Rec, like placard and whatnot here around the city and stuff like that. So it's definitely super dope. I'm not gonna get too much into this. Y'all can go to YouTube and watch this. It's from the Players Tribune. It's from 2018, but just wanted to give a sense of who Chris Middleton is. Local homegrown talent who is definitely still connected to the community, still comes back, still pays it forward. Let's hop into this short documentary featuring Raven. Let me see if I gotta. Let me pause it. It's 9 minutes. We're not gonna watch the whole 9 minutes.
I'm Raven Saunders, and I'm an Olympic shot putter.
Raven Saunders leads the world in the women's shot put, and she blasts that shot out.
Raven Saunders from the USA. Such power in these throws.
So my nickname is the Hulk, and I like to think that I'm pretty strong, especially, for a girl. I've bench pressed 480 pounds. I've squatted 700 pounds.
Damn.
And I guess when people see me, seeing how strong I am, people just think that nothing phases the Hulk.
I'm telling you, for real, a specimen. Like, and what I like about Raven is that we can have this conversation about athleticism. We can have this conversation. Well, at least I do. I like to have the conversation around the kind of athletes that we lift up. You know, with the Olympics, yes, Whiskey Knee, badass. Like, you know, I just think it's important to see for us, for femmes and non-males or gender non-conforming people and women and girls, it's important to see an athlete like Raven and to really, really embrace athletes like Raven because they are exceptional. It's like, it feels like Raven is carved out of marble. Like, it's this definition of strong. And then when you look at the art of shot put, I think the comedian Leslie Jones said this, because you know she does all those little cute videos on watching the Olympics. She says, like, it looks like a ballet. When I think she was giving commentary, she was providing commentary for a shot put video or shot put event she was watching, and it literally looks like a ballet. There's so much grace involved with shot put. I'm sure people wouldn't say that, and Raven herself is calling herself the Hawk and emphasizing her power, but there's also a level of grace that I think is beautiful. It's beautiful to watch. I could never, I don't know how they master the technique of throwing a shot put, but let me let it play and stop talking. Hey Quadro, good morning.
Growing up,
yes,
where I grew up, being tough was
yes,
like the norm.
Quadro. Yep.
So it was me, my sister, and then my mother. And over the years, I had some step parents that were drug abusers and also alcoholics. And, you know, I remember there were instances where somebody may put their hands on my mom, and now me at like 8 or 9, it was only about so much that I could do.
I didn't know this.
But once I got to high school, now I'm like, well, I have to protect her.
Ooh.
Hitting
Good morning, Debbie.
Now this is an outlet for me to make sure that never happens again. And being stronger than most of the guys, people were just like, yeah, you got to come out for the shot put. I was like, I guess I'll try it out. You know, and then I was like, wow, like I found something that I'm good at. It gave me a sense of purpose.
Look at that.
And then once I won that state championship, I was like, okay,
good morning,
I can actually do something with this.
Wow.
2016, I'm a sophomore in college, and making that Olympic team was definitely within our arm's reach. So I went to the Olympic trials. And my second throw, I just knew. I was like, oh, I made the team, I made the team. It's crazy because you go through this Olympic stadium, there's 30, 40, 50,000 people like cheering you on. You're around the best athletes in the world. It's one of the highest of highs that there is.
And I just want to acknowledge, I know the Olympics has very, very, very shady politics around the Olympic Games, the IOC. You know that, I know, but we're going to celebrate people. We're going to celebrate our people. We're going to celebrate our folk doing their thing on one of the biggest stages, probably arguably maybe the biggest stage in sports. We're going to definitely lift these people up, lift these athletes up, because they have sacrificed so much. They do not get paid. They do not get paid what you think they may get paid. They have to earn it all with endorsements and whatnot. And so shout out to them because they've overcome a lot.
So when it came time for competition, I was ready.
Oh, wow.
But, you know, once you set foot on that line or once you set foot in that ring, the amount of pressure and stress, it's very tough. So for me, I have to go to this place. Sometimes even a deep, dark place. Just to try and pull out that crazy level of intensity that we always have to go to. Like, I'm about to kill it because I'm the strongest. I feel like for me, that's how I got by.
I'm gonna stop it there. because we want to get to other content. It's amazing. Shout out. Let me look at the Facebook comments real quick. Good morning, Raven is your niece. All right, she's phenomenal. Good morning, Tanetta. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Tanetta Watson Coleman. Okay, you said thanks for recognizing, supporting her. Continue to pray for her well-being. We will send good energy. We'll send prayers. All of that. Thank you for chiming in. Yeah, Raven is doing phenomenal work. Raven and Chris. But I really think it's important for us to highlight what they're doing. And then last but not least, we've got, now this is an older clip, but I like this because it's still relevant because both Asia and Dawn. So Dawn Staley is going to coach the women's Olympic team. And then, so this is the old clip, but
it was like,
here you go. Wilson's talking about the coaching style of Staley, how it changed for the Olympics.
When I was at South Carolina, USA Coach Staley was like, calm, chill, like, go ahead, do your thing. Like, you guys are pros. Let's do this. But for South Carolina, it was none of that. It was complete opposite. It was a little bit of cussing here and there. A lot more, teaching. Like, she really had to teach us because we were still in college. So we was just like really not like her going to USA because she comes back thinking that we're, Sue, BG, and it's like, we're not. Sorry, we had to break it to you, but we're not. But I'm super happy that I can now be on the other side of that because that was not fun. But I don't know if she sees a difference, but as her players, we saw a huge difference. We would literally be in the locker room like, she just came back from USA. Like, we're about to just be doing a lot of crazy stuff, but I could appreciate that because you helped me, you groomed me into now trying to make the Olympic team.
So there again, this is from the previous Olympic Games, and now we know that Asia is going to make it. Dawn is coaching, amazing. Not from Chucktown, but the two Chucktown athletes are Chris and Raven, but wanted to include another amazing award-winning athlete. We need to lift up our greats that have come from here, who come from the state and go on to do good things. Because you, especially, remember yesterday we talked about Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier were in Charleston, and I had no clue this ever happened. We need to make sure we lift up these athletes who do phenomenal things, especially because a lot of them, like, I think another part, I don't want to take too many liberties with Raven's story, but I have a source who helped me see like the lack of support that was available to an athlete like a Raven. And in some instances, depending on the sport you're in, depending on your high school, depending on all these different factors, you might not get that type of fostering as an athlete, like someone to help guide your talent. And I think out of the three athletes that I've shown this morning, I think Raven has, and again, I don't want to take too many liberties, but according to my source, Raven had to really blaze her own trail and be her own support and find her own support, create her own support systems. And so it's doubly important to lift up these athletes and to recognize that as well. Yup. I said her name correct. I said your name correct. Good. Yeah. Columbia. Yup. She was the one player from Rajon. You say she's the one player from South Carolina that was on the championship team. Yup. Exactly. From here, from South Carolina, playing for the Gamecocks. Absolutely. All right, let's go. I want to hit, so the term we're going to make now, so shout out to all the athletes that have going on to do great things, but we're going to talk about the broader conversation. Now, y'all remember I played this a while ago, an old podcast episode I did back in 2020. This was, I remember because I recorded this right as the pandemic hit. I was at a hotel downtown, using all that good Wi-Fi, trying to like get a sense of what the pandemic looked like, how Charleston, the business district, became a ghost town anyway. So I took that time to create a lot of audio content, and you remember I visited this podcast episode a while ago on Twitch here. I'm going to visit it again because we're going to talk about how the whole conversation around paying college athletes. Was a month ago, South Carolina was like all for athletes getting paid for the use of their likeness. South Carolina was all for it, and it went right over my head. I was like, why would South Carolina, one of the most regressive states in terms of compensation and everything, why would South Carolina be like, yeah, let's pay athletes? And I'm like, duh, the programs. I'm like, duh, Clemson, duh, Gamecocks, duh, Coastal. Like, you're gonna need to be flexible and provide. You're gonna need to be able to provide incentive for folks that you're recruiting to come to your state. And if your state is not on board with legislation, the sweeping legislation that's been on in the headlines all this week, if your program is not pretty much seeing the tea leaves and acting accordingly in terms of making sure you accommodate the players here, you're not going to be able to woo this talent. So a lot of southern states like Alabama, and I'm like, wow, they really want these predominant, like, in some of these programs are predominantly black, right? Especially when you talk about football, you talk about Division I basketball. These are black sports. I'm like, I wonder why Alabama and South Carolina and all these other southern red states is like, yeah, pay the players, because for years they've been saying no. And most notably, the loudest voice in saying that athletes shouldn't get paid has been Mr. Dabo right here. I make $9 million off of exploited labor, right? Mr. Dabo Swinney is one of those loudest voices about, yeah, he got a good record, yeah, but this don't make no sense. This don't make no sense at all. And when you think about what the players don't get, and I don't want to hear nothing about they get tuition to good schools. Yeah, you can't take tuition to a good school. You can't take that fringe benefit and pay bills with it, right? All right, so here we go. We're going to play a little bit of what Dr. Jacova Williams, economist, cultural economist, Jacova. We talked about Confederate statues and Confederate monuments and Confederate named streets in this episode, and how you can directly correlate Confederate named streets with lower wages, right? So if your town or your area has a bunch of Confederate named streets, likely your earning potential is capped because of the racial because of the politics that are pervasive in the culture in and around paying for labor and so on and so forth. But we also talked about collegiate athletics. So let me let it rip instead of talking your ear off.
So the work you do, you say you're continuing to work on the lynching research and the Confederate streets. What other types of things do you study or research at your think tank?
Yeah, so one thing that I did, I want to say maybe a couple of months ago, I want to say at the end of last year, I'm big into football. I'm from New Orleans. I went to LSU, taught at Clemson, two big football schools. So one new thing that I've kind of gotten into and I kind of want to push.
Let me interrupt you. You're talking to one of the biggest.
Y'all know, this is one of my worst episodes to listen to. I am a horrible interviewer in this whole episode. Like, just cringe.
Girl, if there's a way for me to fund this research,
shut up, Tamika. Shut up.
yes. Like
the exploitation of college athletes it's linked to racial animus. The attitudes about whether or not they deserve pay is largely linked to racial animus.
Yes.
Keep going.
You can pull up. You can pull up an article from Dabo Swinney, and I want to say it was in the Los Angeles Times. I'm not totally sure, but I think it was. And I think he did it in October of last year. And basically, the NCAA changed the rules and said.
So real quick, so just so you know, Jacova got her, I believe she got a PhD from LSU, but she worked at Clemson. And that's where I discovered her research on how if your city experienced a lot of historical lynchings, then voter turnout is lower. So if your area experienced a lot of historical lynchings in the past, that informed voter turnout in contemporary times, and I found that research that she did so amazing because she was at Clemson. Clemson's a whole plantation, so that's how I found Jakova. But if you're wondering why she might have a focus on Dabo, it's because she worked at Clemson.
Hey, we're going to allow these players in 2021. I think it's 2021.
Yep.
This is 2021, 2023. To make money off of their likeness, image, and their name, right? And so somebody goes and interviews Dabo Swinney, which I have respect for him, sure. Okay, fine. And he basically starts saying, like, hey, if they start playing college athletes, he's going to quit.
Yep.
Because there's enough entitlement in the world. And then he keeps going on to say how, like, oh yeah, these players ain't starving. That's what he says. Wow. And how they have money for cars and tattoos. And I mean, when he said it, I just was like, whoa.
I remember.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember the tattoos comment.
Yes. For me, I was blown away. And honestly, and even to this day, like, if you know Dabo, tell him, me and him can sit down and have a conversation. Like, honestly, I want to have a conversation. I will. It would be a very great conversation.
That's how I am.
I don't plan to come there to argue. I really want to come and talk. I want to come and talk about his views. I want to talk about my views.
I wonder if she ever got that chance to do
and
that.
And really kind of just get him to understand, like, why that's so problematic, the stuff that he said. Because, again, being entitled is relative. And so I said that to say he makes $9 million in South Carolina. So I think a lot of South Carolina residents would actually say he's entitled to make. I mean, that's crazy to me that you actually feel justified that you should make that much money.
There you go. Capitalism at its best, right? And she goes on to talk about the market and, like, why can't the players take advantage of a market, free market and whatnot, right? I thought that was, so yeah, I'm not just plugging my own podcast. I just thought that her scholarship and her leadership on that issue was really, really important to hear and lift up. Again, being from the South, she's from Louisiana, from New Orleans, and then also having worked at Clemson and breaking down some of these issues. Some of these issues, yeah. So, I wish she could have. Me too, Justin. I wish she could have. I wish they could have mic'd her up, put a camera in the room, and have her talk to Dabo and present the facts. But yeah, so this is recent news, right? So this is the Washington Post. The state senator once caused McDonald's to change. No wonder she took on the NCAA. I think this is the older story. No. Okay, this from the other day. So yeah, so this is on Nancy Skinner, right? So state senator from California, and I remember a couple years ago she took on the NCAA about athletes being able to get paid for their likeness. And then, but the first person I heard really articulate some amazing thoughts and thought leadership, perhaps, on this issue was Bomani Jones years ago. But last year, Bomani Jones wrote this piece, and isn't this image just like breathtakingly like honest? And it's from an artist called Hank Willis Thomas. I took the photograph. It's called the Cotton Bowl in 2011, and this is exactly, to me, this just makes the argument that these players are being exploited, and a lot of times, especially in this is like Clemson, where it's the literal plantation, but a lot of times it feels as if these athletes are just, they get Nike gear or whatever major sports company or sports athletic brand company. Yeah, they get, they fly around the country and see the world, fly around the world in some instances. But in terms of them being able to capitalize off of their likeness, in terms of them being able to even take gifts and accept things in college, it's really unfortunate. But Bomani in this piece, college football players are unpaid stars on the field and have no power off of it, right? And I think this conversation became even more critically important because during the pandemic, athletes could not advocate for themselves. You could tell that they were concerns from parents. They were concerns. We start seeing certain athletes fall prey to COVID and have long-term, they would like maybe be long haulers or live with some sort of defect following being infected with COVID, like heart issues and whatnot. Even now, the NBA, Chris Paul just entered into COVID protocol a week or two ago, and part of that that coming part of his returning, the part of the protocol that would have him return included a cardiogram. So we know that COVID had this ability to impact players' lives for the future, like for the rest of their lives. And the way that college athletes were trying to advocate for themselves as the pandemic started, it started this bigger conversation about their rights, about how they have no control, how they generate all this revenue, yet their voices are not necessarily lifted up, and nor are their interests really centered, right? So this is a good piece, but instead of me reading the piece to you, even though I think it did have, oh yeah, you could play it. You could play the article here. If you go to Vanity Fair and check out this piece by Bomani Jones, college football players are unpaid stars on the field and have no power off it. But I want to hit up this clip from Bomani from Hot 97, I think a couple years ago, and talks about paying college athletes. So I thought this was interesting.
How do you do it? Oh, well, if you can't.
Oh, yeah, we wanted just a skosh. Shout out to Hot 97. I grew up on Hot 97 back when they played freestyle music. Y'all don't even know what that is, I bet.
Wasn't out there playing for free? He'd be somewhere else playing for free.
Now, you, on the notes here, the producer put together, says you have a blueprint for paying college athletes.
I don't have a blueprint. I just have a sturdy belief in what's right. You know, because I think the trick that people play on you when talking about paying college athletes, they're like, okay, I'm cool with it, but
how do you do it? Oh, well, if you can't figure out how, then we just can't do it.
No, sounds like reparations. The same
that's
combo for reparations.
That's exactly what it is.
Same issue.
You have to start, to me, with the idea of the moral imperative, right? Like, you have to start with the idea that this is what is right. And we're still swaying people on the idea that it's right. You can't get to the how are we going to do
That's
this.
What offended me about Bernie Sanders on The View.
Yeah.
It's the fact that he was like, but how do we do it? I'm like, bro, why don't you just say, I think it's a great idea. We need to do some work and figure this out. Your whole posture of like questioning that it's right even.
Yeah. Well, that's the
Bernie and race.
Well, here's the other part
Don't
about
get me
paying
started.
athletes. People got to be honest about this. What they fear
Shout out
is
to
that
Bernie.
if you have to pay athletes, then they're like, well, some of these schools will have to go out of business. So if y'all walk into work here one day and they're like, hey, and they stop paying y'all. And you're like, hey, man, we need checks. And they're like, we would, but if we have to pay y'all, then we gonna have to shut this thing down. Then shut it down.
Shut it down.
Like, if y'all can't afford to do this, then y'all don't need to be in the business of doing it.
Right.
Like you're not going, oh, we'll have to get rid of women's basketball.
You got to figure that out. You're not going to get rid of
Some
women's
programs
basketball.
won't be, and then it's like, well, if you're going to pay the basketball players, you won't be able to pay the wrestling team. Well, people don't pay to watch wrestling. No, professional wrestling, yes, not college wrestling.
That's a horrible argument. I can't stand Rosenberg.
Yeah, and they do, and I recognize.
And by the way, welcome to the real world.
That's the thing.
If we're in college, it's time for you to start learning that if you're in something that doesn't generate revenue, you don't make money. So you know that major that you picked, that liberal arts shit that you're doing, and
I hate Ebro. I hate Ebro. But Bomani was saying, let me see if we could just get back to Bomani, because both Rosenberg and Ebro get on my damn nerves.
$50,000 a semester or whatever to do.
In those other sports, their parents are paid. Like, you go check out, the story about the admission stuff that went on there.
Horrible argument.
These are the sports where kids' parents are paying coaches $500
G's,
to
tennis,
get them in school.
Golf.
Like, they could have a bake sale or whatever, works for that level of people.
Now, that's
and
more,
they can come up with that if they wanted to.
That's the thing. Like, everyone, see, that's the thing about capitalism, y'all. Oh, my God. Here we go. I'm about to get into this is the thing about capitalism. They always have these straw man arguments, or not straw man. They always have these bad faith arguments, or make these bad faith arguments about, well, if you're in wrestling, well, then you're not going to get paid. No, there is enough wealth. There is no scarcity. There is no scarcity, right? There is enough wealth to pay everyone. And that's the thing we have to stop. And we have to stop putting the value, or like, well, no one watches women's basketball, which is a lie, right? But we do know that the way certain women's sports are but like women's, I think, women's tennis, women's gymnastics, ice skating, there's some sports where where women stand out, right? But in the college sense, it's not we put this value systems on, especially when it comes to women, put a value systems on their athletic endeavors and make it so like it's almost a bar that no one can clear. You have to get the same attendance as the men. You got to get the same amount of eyeballs on your ESPN program as the men. And the game is already rigged against women. We already start at a disadvantage in terms of how our sports are treated. Look at the women's Final Four. They got like a half of a conference rooms and two dumbbells from like Marshalls or something. Like they went to Ross or something and got some crappy dumbbells. Like that's how you treat that program, how you treat those athletes. You've already rigged the game. You've already rigged everything. And if schools with Division I competitive programming and strong athletic directors would literally treat all sports equally, you wouldn't have this argument. It's just such a bad argument that, you need to pick a better sport. No, all those athletes could get paid. If you are part of a school's robust Division I or Division II shit, D3 has some great JUCO sports is great to watch. If you prioritize it, it can happen. Period. Like this whole thing, well, you better But anyway, Bomani Jones did a good job. Rosenberg and Ebro are horrible on anything, on most things. But check out Bomani. I think there's one. Let me see if there's one other clip. Oh, there's quite a few about the whole shifting debate. I wanted to do this one, and then I'm gonna try to find those clips from South Carolina about the Supreme Court ruling. Let's watch this, and then we're gonna hop into the Washington Journal piece real quick.
Hi, everyone.
Morning,
I'm Diana
Michelle.
Sater. We're coming on the air with breaking news. The Supreme Court has just issued a ruling on the NCAA and compensation for college athletes. The High Court has ruled the NCAA was violating antitrust law by capping what student athletes can receive by way of education-related gifts and benefits. The NCAA and its biggest athletic conferences wanted the justices to overturn a ruling abolishing the limits, saying it would erode the amateur nature of college sports and open.
Spoiler alert: there is no amateurism in many of these programs. Well, no, there is no amateurism, and the life of a professional, the life of a student athlete, especially in these competitive schools and in these competitive conferences, Big Ten, SEC, so on and so forth. These students are not amateurs. If I had their grueling schedules, if I had their grueling fitness regimens, in all these things, in their travel schedule, how could I study? I don't even know how they do it, but we do know how they do it. They're not amateurs, and they make all kinds of concessions and whatnot to help these athletes excel in the classroom. But I'm not saying all of them are just all in on sports and not the academics. So we know that that's not the case, but for the large part, we know that these athletes are traversing the country and sometimes the world, bringing tons of revenue. And to me, the amount of revenue that they generate completely just undercuts the argument that these are amateurs. And on top of this too, so there's another argument you can make, because the NCAA is a nonprofit. So remember how we talked about how developers here tend to use the nonprofit industrial complex, foundation complex, as Ella Baker once called it, use the foundation complex as some sort of Trojan horse to bring about all these different things. So like here, West Edge in Charleston is trying to develop and gentrify areas along the west side here in Charleston, right? Fill in the creek, ultimately displace the poor subset of African-American residents in Charleston, all that, right, underneath the guise of a foundation complex. And you have the same thing here with the NCAA. So don't ever forget, the NCAA is a nonprofit. Not all, we got to start looking at nonprofit culture and how nonprofit culture is allowed to influence policy locally and federally, and I guess locally, nationally, and even internationally. We gotta chill on it. This is not the Girl Scouts. It's not that at all.
In the door to pay for play. But athletes argued the rules unfairly suppress their ability to be rewarded for valuable skills and abilities. Let's go to senior Washington reporter Devin Dwyer for a little bit more on the decision. Devin, there's a nuance here, because this isn't about just paying athletes outright. It's about educational gifts. So can you just explain a little bit more?
I don't even want to talk about that. Not the educational gifts part. The Wall Street Journal, well, Vice News had a good special, had a good piece on it. I'm trying to get the more relevant, more recent rather. Let me do this. South Carolina. paying student athletes. I'm just gonna say paying, even though it's not necessarily explicitly about pay. It's about them being able to earn. Let me see. I want to find that recent clip from South Carolina. Yeah, here we go.
South Carolina athletes could be allowed to accept pay for endorsement deals. It is all thanks to a bill now waiting for the governor's signature. Student athletes bring in millions of dollars in profit to the schools, and the NCAA rakes in almost $1 billion every year. The bill would let those athletes earn their own money using their name, image, and likeness. Many local college sports fans support the legislation.
Yeah, I definitely think there should be...
Again, because if your school is whack enough not to support this legislation, then you're not going to get top tier athletes. If an athlete cannot come to Clemson and earn money off the field, if you're scouting them, if you're recruiting them, they need to be able to make money, because these athletes right now, the way they get around it, that's their business. I don't see anything wrong with families getting a bag from boosters. I don't find that nothing wrong with it. I think it sucks that the NCAA will pop you when they find out and take your scholarship, take your championships and all that, and your banners. I think that's trash. But I have no problem with families getting a bag under the table from boosters and other influential people around this game at all. I get it. If they promise your mama a house, they promise your mama a house. They promise your mama a car, they promise your mama a car, because they weren't able to make money. Now, okay. So now some of the under table stuff maybe gets cut out, probably won't. But now they can go to your school, Dabo. And what Dabo and those who are arguing against paying athletes, what they're really saying is, let me see if I can just hop to that article, because yesterday they started like roasting Dabo on Twitter, as that I joined in a little bit. I piled on a little bit at the end, but like what Dabo's really saying, that Jacova pointed out here in her, when we just listened to the podcast, what Dabo is really saying is that I want complete control over this exploited labor force. I want complete control. That's why some of these college coaches don't go to the NFL. That's why probably Nick Saban didn't last long in the NFL. You can't play that coach. You can't run them players like in the NFL, them pros who got millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars, tons of social capital, tons of appeal, and tons of fandom. Right. So they've got the masses. They've got, especially if they're a high performing, all-star talent type of athlete, you can't control them in the professional realm. Right. So what you're seeing from Dabo in terms of him saying you would quit if players got paid, you're saying that that your control over the players will be limited once they're empowered to earn for themselves. They're not playing for you out of desperation. They've got options. We've even seen this with players in the collegiate level switching schools, but you're starting to see player empowerment really take over at the college level, with players switching schools when they need to, they're going pro a little earlier, all that type of stuff. So it's really an argument about control.
Like it should be made available to you, just in terms of if you've got
defund Dabo.
Channel, or you've got some
I'm about to make that a t-shirt
where you can kind of take your status as
a dead ass
and use it to profit.
I will give you a cut saying facade.
Right now you can't.
Reggie Bush, yes.
States are creating their own laws so they stay competitive while waiting on the NCAA to update the policy. That is expected to happen in August.
Okay, so yeah, y'all in the comment section over at Twitch are saying defund Dabo. That's such a good T-shirt. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll give you what you need. You need 60% of the proceeds if I make that a shirt. Right. I'm about to would you say defend Dabo's comments? Oh yes, you're not about to defend his comments, but it definitely. Oh, Dabo ain't talking greasy. Dabo's not. He don't have that same tune. I would bet on that too, Justin. That Dabo sounds a little different right now. You disagree with Mika about the boosters? too much good old rich boys involved. I hear you what you're saying, like the but I'm saying like if the players, the boosters are one thing, right? With their motives and all that other stuff, that's one thing. But I'm saying that if you have a certain value, like I'm not a capitalist, but just hear me out. But if the market sets your worth at a certain level, go out and get that bag. Get that bag. It already happens. You know, Johnny James, I hear you. And those, we can have a bigger conversation about boosters and when what does it look like when boosters withdraw their support, and what does it look like when boosters? We gotta have a big conversation about boosters at bigger schools, right? Let's talk about Mississippi, like boosters at bigger schools. And Mississippi, and then like how like now you've got a Deion Sanders, right? You have all these former all-star pros going back to college athletics and assuming the role of coach, right? And so what's happening? Deion is bringing T.O. to camp. Deion's bringing all his former, colleagues and other people he's in community with. So this is a recruitment tool. So now Deion has access to a broader pool of talent and bringing them to HBCUs like Jackson State, right? He's changing the face. And now what's the opposition at that town around Jackson State? What's the opposition going? What does it look like? You think those big schools like what's going on? No. Then they start influencing policy around those black colleges, right? The fact that historically black colleges are struggling financially, that's not something that just happened. There's oftentimes a hostility that manifests in terms of financial withdrawal, financial disinvestment from the booster base, which are largely millionaires, right? Who just want to see their alma mater, Ole Miss, and other schools, see their alma mater just be a championship team one more time. That's, so boosters, I know I just made them into a caricature, but they're very powerful, influential, and can bring about a lot of financial devastation and intimidation. And they do impact policy. And a lot of them are policymakers, right? That's why you got Teddy Tuberville, a senator right now. There's a lot, these college coaches wield a lot of power. And they always have. Let me see what you're saying over here, Justin. Paul Bowers will buy one of those shirts. You think so? Defund Dabo. Yeah. Texas boosters and the alma mater fiasco. Yes. Johnny James, you said you agree with the NIL. Okay, but I don't want a slave owner's great grandson. You right. Gifting me a house. I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I'm just saying if the player wants to. I personally wouldn't take every bag. I'm a person, you hear me say often, what you say no to matters, right? So I necessarily wouldn't do it because I know ain't nothing free either, right? Pay now or pay later. But I'm just saying, like, if folks, there is sometimes there's a financial need, an express financial need that is very real, and I'm just not opposed to it. I don't have an ethical issue with it. Now, you got to manage those decisions yourself, but I don't have a moral, like, it doesn't turn me off the way, oh my God. Oh, so Cam Newton's this and Reggie Bush, I don't care. That's the market value. They're not allowed to earn on the field. They're not allowed to take even a ham sandwich from anybody. Why not? That's all I'm saying. But I agree with you 100%, Johnny James. I agree with you 100%. Justin on Twitch, you said a guy in Clemson last week tried to argue this attempt at equality would hurt. The attempt at equality would hurt small schools, but I think the opposite may be true. It's definitely the truth. I'm telling you, it's a leveling of the playing field, and will college athletics look the same? No, y'all, it's going to bring about changes. Yeah, it's going to bring about changes. But why wouldn't you try to create a more level playing field for folks? And you could argue that it actually helps smaller institutions and HBCUs, get some sort of equal footing in the whole situation. Whiskey Knee on Twitch, you say always going to be boosters and bags of money behind the scenes. Always, y'all. Don't see that ever going away. All right, it's added leverage, and how now and now with legit earning abilities, the coaches and schools can keep. The coaches and schools can turn their heads. Okay, I got you. Can keep turning their heads. I got a little stumble. You fixed it. I got you. Can keep turning their heads. Absolutely. In denial. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that element of influence is always going to be around there. There's always someone offering some sort of financial incentive, especially around something that is so powerful and so just popular as, like, you know, college basketball, the NCAA, you know, men's basketball tournament. Those things are they're just too valuable. They're such money makers. And it's important. So South Carolina's on board, and I was trying to wonder, I'm like, why would McMaster and those be on board with this? Like, what is going on? Right? Let me play a little bit from, let's do yesterday, because this was yesterday on CBS This Morning with James Brown. Let's play a little bit of this.
Now, JB, good morning to you.
Wow, to talk to the baseball player, it's good to be with you.
Yeah, I did play an NCAA sport, but I don't think
JB got that Beijing. JB got that. Yeah, some paint. It's some paint up there.
anyone would have paid me for my autograph. However, there
No
are
shade.
a lot of athletes who would get
No
money
shade.
for their autograph. How is this change going to affect college sports going forward?
Hey, Tony, and I'm sure you figured this out, again, as an ex-college athlete as well, too. This is a new frontier. The rules are not cast in stone. It's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. But I love the approach that Mola Lange took with this report to show the potential impact for women who still have not been treated fairly and equally in pursuit of opportunities as well because of the social media platform and the opportunity to maximize their name, image, and likenesses beyond what even their schools could do for them.
Jimmy, how do you think this will affect recruiting? How could it impact where guys and gals decide to go with their talents?
Great question. The landscape will not be an even one until the feds, Congress steps in and comes up with a uniform rule in terms of what should take place. So this is a temporary waiver, as you understand right now. But clearly, those powerhouse programs and conferences will have a distinct advantage over those who are, I guess, less popular in smaller areas and without the same business opportunities as the big schools would be.
The NCAA has been around for 115 years. Why do you think this change happened now?
I think there was a move afoot that would not yield any other result other than this one. Look, to be fair about this, from my humble perspective, I think it's been a very paternalistic attitude that the NCAA has had towards athletes. So it was a train that they could not stop. It had already left the station.
Absolutely.
All right, forget.
It definitely has. It definitely has. They had to just get with the program after they saw how the courts were trending. They had to get with it. So another voice, it's not a African American voice, but another voice on this topic that I think you should listen to. So we talked about Jacova Williams' her scholarship. We talked about Bomani Jones and his ongoing articulation of this issue. We mentioned Senator Nancy Skinner from California. Just some people were noting in terms of names of who really have elevated this conversation. Another voice in this conversation has been Jay Billis. Jay Billis played Duke basketball back in the day. And he's always been on the side of players getting being able to pay. And also Jay Billis has a law background. I want to play a little sound from the Rich Eisen show.
There it is on the screen.
Rich Eisen show featuring Jay Billis talking about this issue because I think Jay Billis distills it as well and has for years.
Let's get into what name, image, and likeness can look like. Graham Mertz, the quarterback of the Wisconsin Badgers. Did you see what he did? No. Okay. He has come up with a logo.
You go.
There it is on the screen. That's his logo. And he trademarked it. And
look at that.
I imagine he'll put it on apparel or what have you. It looks very Tiger Woods-like, to be honest with you. But, but that's it. That's McAfee. The G and the M, and he's ready, he is ready to come out of the NIL box tomorrow.
And they should, and the players should. I mean, do I think that all these players are going to be able to sell their own apparel lines? No. But they should be able to participate in commerce just like everyone else.
If you're going to be a capitalist,
a lot of people are freaking out over this. That the floodgates are opening to the the gates of hell.
Equality, y'all. Equality.
And I had somebody text me this morning about it, saying, "Now, so you're telling me if a player starts a company, an LLC, to sell T-shirts, that boosters could buy an equity stake in that company. And I'm going, yeah, if they wanted to, unless the school or the conference prohibits it. Yeah, they could. Do you really think that's, the apocalypse being upon us? I don't think it's.
And that's exactly what happened to the boosters question.
Again, this is where we're relying on.
So that's where the boosters come in. Boosters are going to find their way to those players, and basically, what boosters tend to do outside of just they want to bring championships to their school, which leads to added revenue and all these other things that they benefit from being a championship winning program. But boosters also want an ROI, right? An ROI that includes the athletes. In some instances, some boosters want an ownership stake in that player's career. They want an ownership stake so like if you invest at this level, if you invest early on, it feels like Shark Tank. And I feel really yucky talking about players like this, but if players are empowered and can find the right legal representation, the right financial guidance, financial advisors to help guide them through this thing, I don't have a problem with it. But they're gonna have to figure it out. They're gonna have to adjust to it. Shout out Monica McNutt. They're gonna have to learn to adjust, right? But boosters are gonna find their way to this newfound boon. These players' newfound boon. They're gonna find a way, and we've already seen investment in players at the minor league level. Shout out to Real Sports on HBO. They just ran a story. There's a whole, I don't even know how you call it, what kind of firm you call it, but there are these dudes who invest in minor league players. They use an algorithm to determine what the career trajectory would look like for a minor league baseball player. They use their algorithm to crunch up all the numbers, and they say, oh wow, okay, this person's skill set means that they're going to explode in like year 10 or whatever. They're going to command a big salary in the MLB, in Major League Baseball. And so now that firm now actively invests hundreds of thousands in players, and in turn they get like 14%, something bananas. They get this percentage of every contract that player makes at the majors level. And so if you never make it out the minors, you don't have to pay it back. But at the majors level, they have to get a certain percentage. So like imagine what that's going to look like now in college athletics, right? You're going to have boosters doing the same thing, trying to get an equity stake in either the actual apparel brands or what have you, or the actual player's career. That's what's going to happen. It's super yucky, has some slimy things around it, but I mean, capitalism is yucky. We live here in America. We have the most, and I'm not trying to dismiss that. I'm just saying that there are yucky things everywhere. This doesn't make me wretch any more or any less than the other yucky things about racialized capitalism or plantation capitalism. This doesn't even, to me, is just on par with where America is in terms of how we let folks make money.
Your law degree, where I think, and I'm definitely going to screw this up. I think you once attempted to put Barney behind bars, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
That would have been a good result, I think, for everyone.
Right. So, but what happens if a state like California, Florida says, go ahead and make your money off your name, image, and likeness, and then a school says, no, you cannot have a booster put that money in your LLC that is legal under the NIL. That's something we won't allow you to do. Will this wind up in like a state Supreme Court and then wind up in front of the U.S.
They're going to go to the states that let you do it.
I mean, if the state allows it, then I can't imagine the university trying to prohibit it.
I can imagine it.
That's sort of what I believe this should be in the grand scheme of things, is that individual entities, individual schools should be able to make their own decisions on how they want to handle their programs and their employees and their workers. And the Supreme Court made it pretty clear that athletes are workers. They consider athletes to be workers.
Yeah.
But if a school doesn't want to pay a player, then don't pay a player. If you don't even have to give a player a scholarship.
Yeah.
So while we're, not to totally avoid your question, but while we're worried about sort of fairness across the board, is this going to be fair to this player versus that player? What about the offensive lineman when the quarterback's going to be the most valuable? We don't ask that question with regard to playing time.
Nope.
The coaches don't say, well, we need to play everybody the same amount of minutes. It's only fair. They're all working just as hard. And our SID needs to be mindful that we can't have the media just going to the quarterback after the game. They've got to ask questions of everybody.
Exactly.
We've got to make everybody.
It's what I said about women's athletics. Like, you're worried about women's athletics, not oh, what about women's athletics? Then you're gonna have to cut swimming, you're gonna have to cut tennis, all these other, or you're gonna have to cut softball. No, it's how you prioritize. It's what you prioritize at your school. So the success of your women's sports programming, the success of those programs are contingent upon what you invest in it. I really do believe what you give is what you get, in most part, in most instances. But yeah, it's just interesting. It's definitely not cut and dry. It's definitely not saying like, hey, this is gonna be like perfect for everybody. No, this is complicated. This is a complex issue. But I think that I'm glad that we're at a space right now where we're actually talking openly and honestly about what this really means, and we're also outlining ways to get there, toward more player empowerment at the college level. And I wanted to let me see. There's something I liked. There was a really good. I was watching some ESPN programming yesterday. Lord, my likes are crazy. I was watching some. Here we go. So yeah, Dan LeBatard posted the whole Dabo Sweeney thing. Oh, we didn't even get to this. Oh, next week, Clyburn is like gonna be there forever. All right, this is the old article, right, that I retweeted again. Slave mentality. I'm trying to get to. Dang, I was liking everything yesterday. Trying to get to this one tweet about here it is from Christy Dash. So Sports Biz Miss on Twitter. Get to this one tweet, right? And it says, continuing to post NIL rules by school as I see them. If your school has posted, please send me. So this is this map. So if you want to go to Christy Dash, look for this map here, and then so you can check out all the policies for which school. And I guess she's updating it. Okay, I accept. Yeah, take all my data. Let's see if South Carolina's on here. Here we go. Clemson. Okay. Clemson's on the list. So it says we're doing our best to track institutional level NIL rules and regulations here. If you've seen something we've missed, let us hear about it. Right. So I love how she's crowdsourcing this. But institutional NIL policies by state. And so if you go to South Carolina, let's see what South Carolina is saying. Name, likeness. Oh, name, image, and likeness page. Go ahead, Clemson. All right. So they're explaining what an NIL is, right? So what is it? What is it in the state of South Carolina? So it's an agreement in which let me blow this up real quick. I'm sorry if this is boring some people. I'm sorry, because this is right up my alley. I'm sorry. Sports and policy intersect, and player empowerment. So yeah. What is an argument in which an intercollegiate athlete participating in intercollegiate sports authorizes the person to use his or her name, image, or likeness, and in return receives compensation? 1, it must represent a genuine payment for the use of you. Yeah. Right. All right. So just check this out as it pertains to Clemson. Let's see if the Gamecocks hurry up and get on there with their PR game. We know Clemson was going to be all over it. You know what I mean? They get up on it or get left. But also go check out Christy's follow if you want to follow Christy Dash. I thought what she said on TV yesterday was really interesting. And she has a command of the topic. Also Monica McNutt. If y'all can like Monica McNutt, she's on ESPN. They putting her everywhere. I hope she gets her own show soon. Monica McNutt is also a great follow. Let me see if I can put her in here. Is a great follower on Twitter. Well, in general, let me see if she's on Twitter. I don't even know. She might just be on TV. Here she goes. Monica McNutt is amazing as well. I liked her commentary yesterday on the Keyshawn Johnson. Right? Yeah. Let me see. Here we go.
Naysayers to this. The idea that you can't handle it, we're going to prevent this, to me, is ridiculous. Allow them to adapt and grow. These babies, what are they, Gen Z technically? They've had phones in their hands and social media since they could read, right? And so to me, in the same way that the most focused guys at the pro level, guys and girls at the pro level, have a team, get support, and stay focused, this has the potential to weed out who is here to make this money and who is here to advance their career.
Some people don't like it.
So I get it. It's going to be a learning curve. There are some sticky parts of this, but the idea that these student athletes can't adapt, adjust, survive, and that they would lose focus of why they're at
Justin,
school.
I
still
see
have
you.
people that love their sport and understand that I'm even have this platform because of my sport.
It's not every individual.
I got you.
When I say that, it's just I've been around it. I deal with.
But for you, in fact, if you had a training ground at 18, not that you would have gotten it right at 18, but if by the time you got to the NFL, you had already been dealing with, let's say, a 25%-ish level of what you then experienced as an NFL athlete, would you have been better prepared, or would you in college have felt like it was too much and you still wouldn't have gotten to the goal?
See, I'm the wrong example.
No, but you're the right example because
I'm laser focused.
But that's what I'm saying.
But we're only talking about one person.
But I'm saying this has the potential to weed out the phonies, right?
No, but here's what I'm gonna say. I don't want them weeded out. I want them to focus in so they can get to the pros. When you start to put the
So Keyshawn's argument yesterday was that this will distract the players. Can I just say this? Because this is where capitalism, like, really, to me, goes off the rails. It's a game. It's a game. Yes, professional athletics is a job for people. Yes, you have an ability to create amazing careers where you earn a lot of money. It's still a game. So if like, you have to allow, you can't make this like, they need to focus, be laser focused on conditioning their bodies, be laser focused on being an athlete and also a student. They have to be myopic in their approach to how they, to the sports. No, it's a game, y'all. They're not curing cancer. It's important. I think athletes, I love athletics. Athletics is very, very valuable to me personally. It brings me immense joy. It's an escape from the work I do and I engage with every day. I love sports. I invest in sports. I buy swag. I go to games, all of that. Fantasy football, all of that, right? 10 years running. All of that. So I'm not trying to say sports doesn't have value, but we have to put this in context. Like, this is not cancer care. So it's okay if you get distracted at 22. I was distracted at 22, 23. I wasn't the best employee of the month when I came out of college. You give these kids the ability to, if they want to be brands, let them be brands, and they will adapt. I don't know what this is. Like Keyshawn's like, I want you to be laser focused and I don't want you to be distracted. They already distracted. Well, they're young. Even the best, most successful college athletes, they have certain frailty. They have human frailty at some point, right? So the argument, I hear Keyshawn, he really is invested in the interest of the athlete. But I'm like, Key, like, it's okay if they earn. Okay, Johnny James, you said Key sounding like the old man yelling, get off my lawn. Yes, he does. That's why I love Monica McNutt being his contrast in this conversation. Justin, you says we want to hold kids accountable. At the same time, they can't handle making money, right? Exactly. Same facade, you said. And again, there is no question of focus when it comes to professional players, right? Why we not? Exactly. And like, what about the 23-year-old kid who turns pro in whatever sport? The 23-year-old kid golfer, or the 23-year-old baseball prospect. We right? I don't. This focus question is bananas to me.
The cart before the horse, and you're worried about if I'm going to be able to do this and do that, and I'm not.
They already do that. The booster bags are distracting. The girls that they recruit you with, let's keep it real. He Got Game wasn't fake. He Got Game, the movie He Got Game was not like off at all, right? The movie He Got Game, you saw the Ray Allen's Jesus Shuttlesworth character being recruited, right? Rick Fox was the student athlete that was pulled in, and they tantalized Jesus Shuttlesworth with girls, with all the amenities, the state of the art facilities. Like, let's stop acting like the distractions aren't built in already at these schools. Let's stop acting like boosters aren't tantalizing and tempting these kids with money, with cars, with access to certain things, with gifts. So let's stop acting like that don't already exist. Like, come on. Justin, you says the same mentality as Chappelle's. How old is 15? Really? Right? But how old is 18 and 20? I don't even know. You got to put me up on the Chappelle quote. Like, well, how old is 18 and 22? Absolutely.
The training.
And James Brown on CBS that we just watched, he said it. It's paternalism. It's like a very paternalistic approach that these kids can't handle it. But yet they're making millions and millions of dollars.
Aspect of things so serious. So
I
many
get you,
guys that are in college right now today, they get drafted. And their focus is, what about my endorsements? What about this? What am I going to get that? But no, get your ass on the field and play. I don't.
This is the funny thing. I hope y'all can hear me. If y'all on Facebook, I closed the Facebook chat. I can't see if y'all talking to me. Okay, here, Rajon, I'm back. I'm looking at the chat over on Facebook. I had closed it. I'm gonna read your comment in a second, Whiskey Neat. How many of y'all go to work just for a check? Like, if you had a choice and if I could Twitch stream all day for 8 hours or whatever and make 6 figures a year, I would do that. I love Cypress. I love the work we do. I love the people we support. But I don't go to work because I want to be laser focused and I'm on team get a check. I'm on team get a check. I have to live. I have to support myself. I have to support my family. I have to pay down my student loan debt. I'm on team get a check. Real talk. I don't have no loyalty to any employer. I've never had a loyalty to an employer. That's a myth. That you have to be dedicated. So if you are a student athlete, but you are passionate about video games, you're passionate about building your brand, you're passionate about making a sports drink, pursue your passions. And if football is something you just excel at, and it's a vehicle, it's a tool to get you to from point A to point B, you do that. And that's what Keyshawn doesn't understand. The sports are a tool. The sports, the program. The game is the tool to get toward sustenance. The game is the tool to get toward. You think these players want to run into each other going what? How many? 35 miles per hour. You think they want to do that for the rest of their life? You think they want to run at each other and get tackled and experience the equivalent of a car crash during every possession? You think they want to do that for the rest of their life when you got CTE looming over them? You damn right. You distracted by a bag? Okay. Because you trying to retire. And then your NFL career on average is what, 3-5 years? Maybe? So yeah, you better make that money off the field. How you gonna take care of yourself when you're not on the field? How you gonna take care of yourself after your collegiate career? You're going to have to invest in yourself. You're going to have to bet on yourself. That's why I don't understand that. You can't use your experience. Like, it would be like me giving my nieces and nephew advice on what they should do in college or what they should do based on my experience. No, ask them what do you want? What do you want to get out of college? What do you want to do after you get out? What are you passionate about? What are your interests? That's what I care about. I don't want to tell them, yo, you need to do what I do. You need to do what I did. Okay, I went to this school and I did that and I studied this and then no, I want them to be better than me. I want them to earn more than me. I want them to be more sure-footed. I want them to come out of school with less debt, right? And it feels like people like Keyshawn want players in contemporary times to go through what they went through, to pay the dues that they paid. And it's just, to me, a really interesting argument. This chat is blown up. I love it. Whiskey, you said you see his point. You see Keyshawn's point. But a lot of this mismanagement of money, distractions with starting an LLC could all be eliminated if high school curriculum... Come on, Whiskey Neat. If high school curriculum would grow the F up and teach courses that prepare kids for real world versus... Right? What is that? I'm so horrible at reading. Isosceles triangle. I have math anxiety. Isosceles triangle. Right? Trapezoids. I ain't never had to talk about no trapezoid in my professional life. Never had to talk about isosceles triangle in my professional life. Never. You see how that word tripped me up, Whiskey Neat? It tripped me up. I have a real math anxiety. Literally, my mom had to give me tutors like forever. I have a math anxiety. I see the word isosceles and I just froze. Triggered. You have to put a trigger warning next to anything geometry based or trigonometry based or algebra based. You got to put a trigger warning for me because I will freeze up. All right, Justin, you said I want to see old Keyshawn talking this nonsense to young Keyshawn. Yeah, and the thing is like these younger players look up to Keyshawn, and I think Keyshawn's one of the better ones that better vets that I hear from publicly. Like I like Keyshawn, but at some point they're gonna tune these guys out, and they're gonna go to the more adaptable and just the more nimble, like the more I guess flexible or the more free-minded veterans and listen to them. But yeah, Keyshawn, it's almost like the same thing with the erasing student debt. People who say, "Well, I had nobody erase my debt." Your debt was probably, if you even had debt. If you even had student loan debt, it was probably $5,000 or something. People coming out of school with $70,000 for undergrad, right? 6 figures if you're trying to pursue a law degree or a medical degree. It's like that argument. Well, I had to pay my loans, so you ain't had to pay these loans. You ain't had to pay this interest. You ain't had, this ain't the same debt. And it's like y'all think that, I don't understand it. We live in a society that says, well, I went through pain, so you need to go through pain. I'm the complete opposite. I went through hell. I don't want you to go through hell. I want you to be able to navigate it better. Right? Exactly. Let me see. Team Get a Check. I'm on Team Get a Check. I'm here. Another shirt. I am on team. You think I want to get up every morning and go to work? I don't care how great what we do is. I'm on Team Get a Check. And if I could work at my passions, which is maybe refining this type of content, I'll be doing this because it don't even feel like work to me, right? I'm passionate about communication. I'm passionate about distilling local news. I'm passionate about things like that. I'm not passionate about working for somebody else. Never. Jesus Christ himself could be my employer, and I'm like, yo, Jesus, I'm Team Get a Check. You do amazing things, Jesus. You walking on water last week was phenomenal. Turn that water into wine, Jesus, amazing. But I'm on Team Get a Check. Yeah. I'm on Team Get a Check. Yeah, I hate that mindset that it's hard, so everyone else has to make it hard. Yeah. I'm not about the whole you have experienced the same trauma I had too. Exactly, like rite of passage, hazing and whatnot. I say all that to say as I get off, follow Monica McNutt. I think she's an amazing Twitter follow. Yeah, she's awesome, and that's something I think. Just follow this whole NIL story, paying college athletes. There's tons of content. I'm sure I got popped on YouTube for using everybody else's clips. Again, we want to end with saying shout out to Chris Middleton, an Olympian who will be playing on the men's basketball team in Tokyo. Shout out to Raven Saunders, Burke High School alum. Will be representing us again for the second time in Tokyo. Shout out to Asia Wilson, who will be representing us again. Shout out Dawn Staley, both from, both Gamecocks. Shout out, right? And let's keep talking about this conversation. I'm going to end it there. Let me see what y'all said over here. Nah, y'all, this was great. Thank you for chatting with me. I know I lost some people, but thank you. And thank you, Rajon. 2 to 4 years in the NFL. Yes, your career is like this. And so you're supposed to just be laser focused as a defensive tackle. Get out of here. Team Get a Check. All right, Jesus saith, get it. Don't be. Look at this blasphemy. Jesus saith, get thy bag. And we're going to say hallelujah on that. All right, y'all, take care. Have a good Friday. Have a good holiday weekend. Oh, yeah. Shout out to let me switch the camera real quick. Shout out R.I.P. to my grandpa, my daddy's daddy, July Gasden. I don't know how many people pronounce July like that. I don't know. I don't even know when I started saying July like that. But July 4th is also my late grandfather's birthday. July Gasden, my daddy's daddy. So I will be celebrating with the fam this weekend. And yeah, hopefully you all will have a special extended weekend. However you embrace the holiday, again, cooking out and lifting up my family is how we're gonna do it. Celebrating my and also shout out happy belated birthday to my brother Dan, my dad's namesake. We call him Dan. It's a long story. But yeah, shout out to my brother, Ben, who celebrated his birthday as well. So we got some July babies up there. So yeah, thank y'all. Take care. Thank you, Whiskey Neat and Justin and Shane Facade and Nicole and Jonic James. Y'all made this really fun on Twitch. Thank you, Rajon, and everybody on Facebook who made this conversation really fun this morning. Thank you for hanging with me through the technical difficulties. As the video I played suggests, streaming ain't easy. It ain't just turning on. It ain't just turning on the camera. So it's a lot that goes into streaming live on Twitch, especially. There's a whole, y'all should see what I'm looking at right now. It's a whole situation. All right, I'll talk to you later. Take care.